Good morning. Happy Thursday. Michelle Lee here with Athena Rising Now, and I help overcommitted, undersatisfied women live their purpose-driven, heart-centered, soulful life. And today we're talking about quantum jumping. Today is training number 3 out of 5 on how to quantum jump. So welcome. Hey, Linda. Thanks for stopping by. So quantum jumping is going from from parallel to parallel, right? I don't like using the word timeline because time does not go in a line. Time is not at all linear at all. So we can jump from one experience to another experience. So on day 1, we talked about you can go back to all of those videos. I don't want to go over everything and make all of the videos too long. So if you haven't seen the first 2 videos, go ahead and go back and watch those. You can find them on my page, on my Facebook page. So, but we talked about on the first video, the first step to quantum jumping is really identify what you want to create. Which is writing it down. Really get clear about what you want to create and what feelings that's going to create, right? So if you want to create $1 million business, you want to get into what that's going to provide you, right? What feelings? Because anything we want to create in our life, whether it's income, a relationship, a big house, whatever those things are, what we're really seeking is the emotions around it. So get really clear on what emotions you are creating by having that experience where you feel secure, empowered, masterful, safe, successful, proud, in love with life. Hey, Dogma, thanks for stopping by. So notice you need to bring up what those emotions are, because that's really what is going to cause you to jump into that experience more quickly. And then step 3 is, who do you need to be? And we talked about the who do you need to be yesterday. So if you are creating, good morning, Louise, thanks for stopping by. If you want to create a certain amount of money in your life, consider who you need to be. What kind of actions do you need to take? What kind of thoughts do you need to think? Those kinds of things, and start doing that now. You know, I share often that when I was first starting my business as a newly single mom with 3 kids at home, and I knew I had to play bigger in the world, and I wanted a full business, right? I wanted to be sought out. I wanted my calendar full with clients. And at the time I was only working with like 3 clients a month. So I literally I took the physical action of like stepping into the reality of being a fully scheduled out coach. And so I took those actions. I felt that way. I felt successful. I felt empowered. I felt good about the impact I was having. And I took the actions I needed to take, which meant no more procrastinating. I, did the filing. I kept up on my books, on my finances. I called the people I needed to call. I reached out to people. Back then there was no Facebook Live, right? I don't even think at that point, I didn't even have Facebook. So I did those things. So I began to embody who I was becoming, right? Changing the consciousness, changing the energy there. So step 4 is really what I want to talk about today, step 4, which is consider what beliefs you have about yourself contradict the reality you're jumping to, right? If you already believed everything you needed to believe, if you were already being the person you needed to be, you would already be living that experience, okay? So to come up, what keeps us tethered in the reality we have now are our emotions, right? And those emotions come from our past. our beliefs and our emotions come from our past. And the more we are connected to that past, the more tethered we are in the experience we're having now. The more connected to our now we are, and the less connected we are to what we're creating, not creating the parallel reality we're jumping to. Because this isn't creating, this isn't manifesting. This is knowing that what you desire already exists, right? In the infinite potential. So here's what's super important is to understand, which is to rise above and give yourself a bird's eye view of who you are in this experience, right? I am the personality of Michelle Lee. Michelle Lee was formed by my childhood, the authority figures in my life, right? Everything I believe about myself was passed down to me by my childhood. I chose to have that experience as a soul. So take a bird's eye view and realize that you are not your personality. You are a soul. Right? And you chose to create the experience that you created. And you are still that soul. And if you can kind of rise above it, imagine yourself just rising above and becoming the observer of your personality. So I become the observer of Michelle Lee. And really think about being the expression, being the soul that I am before I was ever born, right? And so understanding that the beliefs I have, the way I see, the filter I see the world through, comes from who I've been formed to be as Michelle Lee, okay? So you might look at, we pick up a lot of unworthiness, right? So you can have an experience in your lifetime where your mom or dad said something to you. And in that moment, you realize you made a decision. It wasn't a conscious decision. We were learning about life and forming our beliefs, but you formed a belief that maybe I'm not good enough, right? And we can have memories like that. So what's super important is to look back at your life and know that you have formed, good morning, Sharon, thanks for being here. You have formed belief systems that have become anchored and stronger throughout the years with emotion. So you're going to look at your past and see, okay, what event, and there may be some that pop right into your head, what event contributed to my sense of unworthiness or my fear of failure, right? So I remember there's an example coming into my mind. I was working with a young man. He was in high school, and his grandfather brought me because he had been a straight A student. And then all of a sudden, his grades dropped, and it was because he quit turning in his work. I mean, he just quit turning in assignments. And his grandfather brought him to me, and I was talking with him, and I asked him, I go, was there a time when you worked really hard? You worked really hard and it didn't seem to matter. You didn't get the grade you wanted or something like that. And he was like, yeah. And so he told me about this experience, and see, this was his core experience. And he'd done this great poster. He was so proud of it. He was so excited, and he thought he was going to get 100% on it. And he got a C. And he made a decision in that moment that it doesn't matter how hard I work, it's never going to be good enough. So once he made that decision, he stopped turning in his work. Well, we did emotional freedom technique around that, right? I helped him release the emotions around the disappointment and defeat of trying really hard and being disappointed anyway. We released that, right? And so that shifted him again to start working and get great grades again, because he had released that belief that no matter what, he couldn't win, right? So I got a call from his grandfather a few weeks later, and he said, he was this older gentleman. He goes, "Girl, I don't know what you did, but it worked." He's back to getting straight A's again. And so this is the point of what I'm saying, is that if we have an emotional attachment to something in the past, which means it triggers you, then that is going to keep you tethered in the experience that you're having now. It's going to keep you tethered in this parallel experience, right? Because your belief system is attached to the emotions of the past. Like, I learned that I'm unworthy of this. I learned that I'll never be good enough. I learned that it's not safe to be seen in the world. I learned that I'll be judged. If we have an emotional attachment to that, which means they are our beliefs, it makes us dense and more difficult to hop to another timeline, to another parallel experience, right? And if you recall, everything is now. Every macro second, we are moving into another parallel reality, because time is not linear. It's like dots, right? We're hopping. And if you start paying attention to this, you're going to start seeing it. But in each present moment, in every hop, infinite potentials exist. Hey, Stacy, thanks for stopping by. Infinite potentials exist. So in this timeline, I'm sitting right here. In the next timeline, I hate saying line, I need to come up, time point, infinite potentials exist. I can have a multi-million-dollar business. I can be a millionaire. I can be in a relationship with the love of my life. I can be living on the beach. I can be living in Vermont. All of these potentials, anything you can think up already exists. It's already creating. So I can't hop to those if I'm tied to experiences I've had in the past. It makes it more difficult to hop to them. Okay, so that's what step 4 is identifying the experiences. Usually they're emotionally heavy experiences, right? The heavy experiences keep us dense. We become more matter than energy. And as we move up higher into living from the heart center, living from the higher chakras, we become more energy and less matter, and we can hop to where we want to go, because we're moving between time points now. But when we acknowledge that we are the power and the presence of the divine, and we are this soul, not this personality, then we can actually identify what it is we truly want and hop to that one more quickly, hop to that experience more quickly. And I've been telling my clients for years that your releasing, your healing does not have to be this long journey. In fact, I was attracted to hypnosis and emotional freedom technique because they were quick, right? You can literally hop from one experience to another experience. One of the most telling is like quitting smoking with hypnosis. And I've done this for my clients for years. I don't do it anymore because I just don't find a lot of joy in it. But people can smoke for 20, 30, 40 years and come in for a 2-hour session and be a non-smoker in 2 hours and have no cravings. That is a hop in reality, right? People who experience instant healings, that is a hop in reality. I believe that people who experience multiple personality disorder, right, that can present with a bee sting in one moment and the next moment they change personalities and present with no bee sting. They can present with as a diabetic and then in the next moment present as not a diabetic. Timeline hopping, right? They just have it down. They don't even know, and because we don't understand it, it's looked at as a disorder. Linda, that makes so much sense. Good. I'm glad. So that's step 4 of really identifying what emotions have you tied to the personality that you think you are, right? And releasing those. How I release those is with the EFT, tapping through those, and always remembering staying as high above your personality as possible, and being the observer of your life is throughout the day, like really tuning in. This has come natural to me. I thought everybody did this, but for years I would, especially doing dishes, doing things with my hands, right? I would become so aware that I was the observer. Like, I'm this energy that is moving my hands, right? That's not my hands. I'm the observer inside, kind of controlling the machine. And if you can stay there and observe the experiences you're having, then you realize that you are a being of infinite potential. And that begins to lighten you, especially as you release the emotions that keep you stuck. They keep you stuck in this experience, because the only thing that makes one time point, one frame, if you think of it as in movies, and we watch a movie, just like you're watching this video, it looks like it's just streaming, right? It's called streaming, but it's really frame after frame, frame after frame after frame after frame, and each frame is independent of the frames around it. So the only thing that keeps us attached to the frames of what seems to be our past, our childhood, are our emotional connections to them. So it's rising above, tapping through those emotions that keep you tied to that personality that believes you're a victim, that personality that believes you're unworthy, that personality that believes you're not enough. You untether that. And then you have the clarity around where you're going, right? And you have the emotions that you're creating, the emotions that you're living in. Oh, how would that make me feel? I would feel empowered. What do I need to think, do, and be to feel empowered right now? What action do I need to take? What do I need to say to feel empowered? And really beginning to embody that experience you want to have. Linda says, I'd forgotten about EFT. Don't forget about EFT. I used it with my husband years ago. I've been caught in my story and forgot. Yep, that happens so much, right? EFT is so powerful and so quick in releasing that emotional connection. I've used it for things as little as, being angry because somebody's not going to show up, to the deep trauma of sexual abuse, right? And it can just be, emotions are the chemical reactions in our body, and they get stuck in there, and it slows the energy in our body, and we become denser, right? When we vibrate faster, we're a higher vibration, we're resonating. And that's what we're doing, is we are shifting both our body and our consciousness to resonate with the time point that we want to create. Okay, I hope that's super clear. If you have any questions, go ahead and just put them in the comments, and I'll come back and check them out. And I'll be back tomorrow with step 5, right? Step 5 of quantum jumping to create the 2018 that you really want to create. And if you have found value in this video, please feel free to share it. And check out my website. I do a complimentary session with you to envision 2018 and get clear on what it is you really want. If you're struggling with, well, how do I define what I really want? I'm afraid I don't know. That's a common problem, because we have denied ourselves so much, or we doubt our ability to have what we really want. visit my website at athenarisingnow.com and sign up for a complimentary session. I'd love to hop on the phone with you for half an hour, and we'll get really clear, and I can help you see the beliefs that are keeping you tethered down to this reality. Have a great Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow morning. And if you have any questions, just post them in the comments below. Hit the share button. Let's get the word out and let people start creating what they want quickly. Bye. Have an awesome day.